Hi there, it's Craig here, and welcome back to Vinyl TV. Yes, it's been a little while. So this video is not necessarily vinyl related. It's just an update video for you guys who haven't seen me around in a while, but I am alive, and I'm just going to talk to you about what's been happening and why I haven't shot videos and so on and so forth, and what's sort of coming up in the future. First of all, for those of you who have been wondering, I'm fine. Nothing's happened or anything. I just, I took on some other projects when I lost my YouTube channel. I guess that was a couple years ago or more. I realized how fragile this whole thing is. And, you know, I kind of lost my motivation, if you will. The reason for losing the channels, I lost both my channels. I won't go into. I know the reason. It's nothing I did wrong. YouTube screwed up, and that's basically as far as I'm going to go with it. But they did give me my channels back because they realized that they had made a mistake. So that's basically what happened. Now, so I'm, I just thought to myself, well, I think I better, take up some other hobbies. Because if YouTube is that fragile where, you say the wrong thing or you do something they don't like and, they can just like take your channel off or, delete your videos or whatever. To me, that's just not a very, I don't know. I just got discouraged. So I stopped making videos and I did other things. So anyway, I'm back and I have more content for you. Now, one of the other reasons why I was, kind of lost my motivation. When you make a YouTube channel and you decide, what you're going to talk about, you have to pick something you're not going to run out of ideas. So let's say you're doing like videos on an air fryer or Instant Pot or one of those kitchen gadgets. How many things can you cook in an air fryer? I mean, they're great appliances. They're pretty cool. And I have 2 of them. But after a while, you've done the fries, you've done the chicken, you've done the vegetables, the onion rings. Like what else? You have to be careful when you're deciding to do a YouTube channel that you don't run out of things to talk about. So now when it comes to vinyl, I've done a number of videos on different things. I've done the stylus and cartridges, looking at things under a microscope. I removed the amplifier out of a Audio-Technica turntable. I did the turntable setup video, which has over 3 million views, actually. It's the most watched turntable setup video on YouTube. So that's pretty cool. And I talked about, lots of things. I started thinking to myself, unless I think of other things to talk about that aren't necessarily completely vinyl related, unless you want me to sit here and go, oh, look at the 5 new albums that I just bought. I mean, if that's what people want to do, then let them do that. I don't really know how interesting that is. I don't know. It's just not for me. And plus I haven't bought any records lately. I've kind of have all the records. Like I'm not the kind of person who's going to go out and like just buy until I've got like walls and walls of records. No, for me, it was just replacing the collection that I had when I was a teenager. That's basically what that is back there. And I have no intentions of really adding that many more records to that collection. So I started thinking, I've got to come back and let you guys know what's going on. Now, I've also been contacted again by Fluence, who have asked me to do a review on a new turntable they have out, or they're coming out with. I have not seen it yet anywhere on YouTube or on the internet. It's not even on their website yet. And it's kind of it's an upgrade to one of the other turntables they have already available. So they've offered to send me one, so I'm going to do a review on that. So that's why I'm kind of coming in here now and saying, hey, this is what's happened and this is what's going on. I've been busy the last 2 years. I've been doing a lot of other things. I've also got a pair of Fluence speakers that I acquired that I also want to talk about. So there's that. And just other things having to, the channel's called Vinyl TV, but I might venture out into other areas of audio, other than vinyl, because, there's only so much you can really talk about when it comes to turntables. And, I can do the top 5 turntables of 2023. There's a million of those videos around, and where am I going to get that information from? Just by watching another video? So I don't want to copy somebody. So, you got the Riga, and you got the planars, and, the Fluences and the Audio Technicas, and I do like the Fluences. I have 2 already. And so I do like their turntables, and that's why I agreed to do another review. So I'll have 3 of their turntables. I bought the first one. The second one they sent me, and this one here they're going to send me. Anyway, I did a radio show for 2 years. I did it was called Your Tube Radio. It was on Retro Classic Hits. The radio station was Retro Classic Hits. And I did a radio show every Sunday afternoon, and it was a 2-hour, just, playing the hits, giving information about each song and about the artists and what the song was written about, and so on and so forth. Just like the old style, back in the 70s and 80s radio was. So I did that for 2 years. That took a good portion of the week to produce that show. And if you missed it, well, I guess you missed it. So it was fun, but I decided it was time to pack that one in. So now here I am again, and sitting in front of the camera. So yeah, I'm going to do some more vinyl TV stuff, and people have been asking for it, and people have been asking for my other channel, which is CraigTube, for cooking and stuff. And these things take time, and I have a lot of other stuff I love to do. I am a musician, so I work on music. I've got, digital audio workstation on my computer. I'm currently in the process of fixing it up and upgrading it and making it work better. I just have lots of different little things going on. So, the YouTube stuff kind of unfortunately fell down to the wayside. There's lots of other topics when it comes to audio. Putting your vinyl onto the computer. Why would you want to do that? See, then there's people out there who like, well, why would you do that? Because that's not analog anymore. It's digital. There's that whole topic. It's like, well, I want to be able to listen to the record, and I want the warm sound of the record, but I can't always put the record on. So I've done a good job getting it onto the computer so that I can listen to it in more conveniently. And a lot of people might say, well, that just defeats the purpose of having it on the record. Well, not really, because the digitizing of it doesn't really change the sound of it. And if you think it does, well, that's another whole area, no topic that I'd like to cover, because it's actually not digitizing that changes the sound of stuff. When CDs came out, it was like, oh, they're harsh and they're this and they're that. Well, other things changed as well when CDs came out. And there's a whole subject on that. Vinyl records, when they're made, they have to be mastered a certain way. You can't just grab the tape, throw it up, cut it to a lacquer disc and make records out of it. There are things that have to happen to it, to the sound, or otherwise it won't track properly when you play it back on the record. So when they started making CDs, they didn't have to do all that, right? Because CDs, you can record anything on a CD. It doesn't matter, because it's not a mechanical device. And so when people started hearing CDs, they go, oh, whoa, hey, what's all this? Well, it's just because they didn't have to dumb it down anymore, because it was not being recorded to vinyl. See, people have misunderstandings about stuff, and I have got so much information that I'd love to share with you about this kind of thing. And conversations can be had. It would be really cool to have people join me on here and have like a Skype call with somebody with video and have sort of a back and forth with an audio or a vinyl enthusiast and talk about these things. But it's not digitizing the sound that actually changes it. If you do it properly, it can actually be done quite accurately. Quite accurately. And, you'd never be able to tell the difference between that and the actual vinyl. So you're not unanaloging the record when you digitize it. It still was analog and it still has that same sound. I think a lot of people think that when you digitize something, you've just ruined it. And that's actually not the case. Because of the way digital audio works, you get the exact same sound out that you put in as long as it's done properly, which most of the time it is. So, and this is a lot of people are going to argue with this. Well, you can argue all you want. These are the facts. And it's just because it's the way digital audio works. You're chopping it up into samples and you're doing it, but it's reconstructed because there's math behind it. Something called Nyquist, and it's math, and there's no other way the signal can come out other than the way it went in. Anyway, like I said, there's lots of things to talk about other than records. And records are great. I love my records. I love listening to them. They're fun. People come over. They're very impressed with the sound. There's a certain feeling that you get when you're listening to a record versus a file on the computer. And I've also been listening to CDs lately, which is really neat because CDs are although they are digital, they're not compressed like an MP3 is, but they don't have the noise and clicks and pops and issues that vinyl has. So there's a whole other subject there because still sometimes the vinyl record can sound better than the CD because of the mastering that was done for the vinyl. They can't brick wall the vinyl as much as easy as they could the CD. You can't use, the loudness wars on vinyl because it won't track properly. You have to be careful with records. And a lot of times the record sounds better just because of that alone. And then if you put it on the computer and get rid of all the crackles and pops and noise, boy, does it ever sound really good. But that's something that you might not want to do. Some people like the noise that a record makes. It just reminds them that they're actually playing a record. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that could be talked about. Some of it has to do with records and vinyl, some of it not. And, I can always do a Q&A thing too, if that's what you want. As a matter of fact, if you want, we can do that now. I can tell you, okay, fine. If you have questions, why don't you post them in the comments down below? And I will answer some of them, most of them. Depending on how many I get, I will answer some of your questions. So how about that? That'll create more content. And so that's what's in store. I don't know how often a video will be made, probably not every week. But it's not a lot of work to set this up and do this. It's filming those how-to videos, like how to remove the amplifier from the turntable, or how to align a cartridge, or stuff like that. Those take eons to shoot, different camera angles and microphone issues. You've got to move everything around, the lighting and stuff. If we're just talking about stuff, that's a lot. That's easy. That's easy to do. Now, I have not bought any records lately, so I can't really brag about anything. I did have some sent to me, which I will maybe show on another video. Just out of curiosity, out of interest sake, to show these records because they were gifts from people, so I'd like to show them. And that's about that's about all I have to say right now. It's been a busy 2 years for me since I've been here on this camera, and I miss it. And apparently some people do too. So if Fluence sends me that turntable, which looks like they're going to, we'll be talking about that. I'll be letting you know how the other 2 turntables are holding out since I've had them for more than 3 years now, 4 years. How are they holding out? How are they working? Are they still running good? We can talk about that. And anything else that comes to mind. And, of course, the answers to your questions. Okay? So here, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got an audio clip here of part of my radio show. Let me see if I can find it. Whoops. So I'll just play this for you through it's going to, obviously it's not going to sound great through the phone, but this is like a 30-second sample of what my radio show sounded like. We can get it to work. Smack dab in the middle of our 1975 countdown, we're at song number 16. It's a song recorded by the American music group the Doobie Brothers from their 1974 album, What Were Once Voices Are Now Habits. The track, which features its composer Patrick Simmons on lead vocals, became the first of 2 Doobie Brothers' #1 hit singles in mid-March 1975. At number 16, here's the Doobie Brothers and Black Water. You better turn that off in case we get a copyright strike. So that's what it would have sounded like at the beginning of each song on my radio show. I would gather the information and I would, tell you about the song and the artist and so forth. 2 years every week was a lot of fun. So anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I will be back probably with one of the Fluence products to tell you about that. And maybe every couple of weeks there'll be a video. So thank you for watching, and please make sure you subscribe and tell your friends I'm back, and we'll see what we can come up with for you. How about that? Okay. Thanks so much. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Hey, vinyl is final, remember? See ya.